Greetings, friends, and welcome to the woods. I need to share with you a little bit about how to develop will because this keeps coming up. I have recently heard someone share the idea that there are places you can't go, things you can't do, not because they're illegal and not because there's anything wrong with what you'd be doing or where you'd be going, but because doing so would send energy to people who are very bad and who do very bad things. Now, it's true that it's possible for your energy to be harvested, and it does happen, but not without your permission, if you have developed your will. One of the things that allows people to any kind of psychic vampire, whether it's an individual or an organization, what allows them to do that is that two-way stream of energy that happens when you communicate with someone. There is a dialogue of sorts that goes on at an energy level, and it can happen one-on-one, or it can happen in a group. For instance, when you are listening to the pastor preach, there is an energy exchange. When you're listening to a stand-up comic, there is an energy exchange. When you're watching a performance, there is an energy exchange. Even when you are watching television, there is an energy exchange between you and the broadcast, what's being broadcast, unless you decide otherwise. It is possible to opt out. Once you know that there is an energy exchange, you can decide, no, I think I'm going to keep my energy to myself, but I'm going to watch this performance anyway. You can do that. You can even stand in the center of source so that the collective power of source can exert an influence on your environment, the people around you, and the experience itself. You can do that. But what makes it possible for you to decide, to determine where your energy is going to go and what it's going to do, and the inability to make that happen, is your will, the power of your will. And there are some things that ramp that up, and there are some things that take that down. When you break your word, when you promise something and you don't deliver it, you're going to sacrifice some of your, what they used to call virtue, because that's what virtue really is. It's the power of your spirit. It has nothing to do with sexuality. That was put on that word because in the past it was believed that sexuality was an evil, and whenever you engaged in it, you were degrading yourself, because in truth, sexuality is and can be a method to connect with source. That's a discussion for another time. Willpower. You degrade your virtue when you do not keep your word to yourself, the word that you have given to yourself or to others. You degrade your honor when you agree to do something and then you don't do it. Lies will degrade virtue. Actions, fallacious, when you don't keep your word to other people, that will degrade your honor. And virtue and honor were the cornerstones of what makes a powerful person in the old world, and it still is. But we're trained to be slaves. We're trained up to be slaves of the system, of the society that has designed our role within it. If you want to take that back, if you want to make your own rules, your own role, if you want to decide who you're going to be, you need to step away from that And part of that is developing your will. Be honest, keep your word, or pay the price. Sometimes it's better to pay the price. Sometimes when you're pushed into a very bad situation, sacrificing a measure of your virtue is better than the alternative. Sometimes it's required. But in your day-to-day life, and for most occasions, and whenever you can, if you want to have a powerful will, keep your word to yourself and others. It's a valuable practice to build your will, to establish a discipline that brings you closer to Source, something you do often every day, something that's meaningful to your connection to Source, something that puts you in the zone. It could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be going to the gym, it could be meditation, it could be running. Whatever puts you in the zone. Every day, stand in Source and let it fill you with energy. Let it fill you with power. And then use that power wisely. Keep your word. Don't lie. And your will become stronger. Your will can become strong enough to override what society has decided for you and what other people, even those closest to you, what they have decided the world is about. You can overcome the rules of the mundane world. What's expected, what's thought is possible. You can overcome that. You can raise your vibration and you can determine the kind of world you're going to live in. But it takes a strong will. And all of these things make for a strong will. Will is what binds together our emotions, our thoughts, and our spirit. It directs our intent, and it protects the emotions that power that intent, so the intent can play itself out. So we can create the world around us exactly the way we want it. Will. It's important. And welcome to the woods.